this whole Rona period, I think we've all had little things that we've clung to, things that we keep on going back to help bring sanity to us and help us work through things. And I didn't realize this was something I was doing until like 3-4 days ago. And then I looked back and I was like, no, I've been doing this a lot. I've been going back and I've been watching a ton of sports films. Films that are specifically about a sport, whether it's football, whether it's cricket, whether it's American football. As you see, it's American football and it's football. It's not soccer and football. Just be clear here. Let's speak some common sense. But yeah, I've noticed that I've been going back and watching a lot of the films that I've watched over the years, and even films I haven't watched. I've probably watched about 15 sports films or sports-related films in the past 2 months. And I don't know why that exactly is, but I think the main thing is that they're just good stories. Like, yeah, maybe they might not be the most cinematically incredible pieces of art, but I think there is an inherent truth and story to the through line of a lot of these films. And they're all over the place. It's not like they're from one country or one culture or anything. They're from all over the world, and I think that that's partially what makes them good. That's what makes them so universal, even in a different way to others. So I think you have a lot of variety in sports films, and they aren't really appreciated, I feel. I don't think they get given the love they really deserve. You have outright bangers, you have emotional hard hitters. I mean, there are comedies as well in the sports category, and I would like to say that some of them do slap, but then I think I feel old saying that, to be honest. I probably shouldn't be saying that. And the amazing thing is, on top of that, there are heart-wrenching true stories that are people's lived lives that have transcended all other mediums and been able to be put on screen for a mass audience to take something from. And I think that those stories really do hit home the most. And en masse, these things they're uplifting. They just uplift you. Not just in terms of cinema, like they do uplift cinema, but on a personal point, when you get a story where at the end of it, there is such a positive message which can be taken from it. And I think that a lot of things with films, especially independent films, and a lot of these on this list are not major produced budget explosion films. They are relatively low budget and they get made and they do well because they're good films. And I think that they're on a lot of people's DVD lists. And I mean, DVDs back in the day, video, VCRs, they're on a lot of people's Netflix watch lists, I guess. And some of them maybe aren't. So I'm just going to go through here with a list of over 40 sports-related films that have really impacted my life. And I just keep going back to and watching them again and again and again, and have been doing for years. And I'm glad I picked up on it, because then I just had a thought about it and was like, yeah, sports films don't get the love they deserve. So we're going to start off with Warrior. Now, Warrior, if you don't know, is about, well, MMA, cage fighting. Definitely one of the best cinematic films out of this entire section. Tom Hardy, Joel Edgerton really kill it. Very well put together film. Then we have The Fighter, another fighting related film. We can say it's boxing. This one was Wahlberg and Christian Bale. Again, I think there's a specificity to combat sport films, and both these films, as well as some others on this list, really brought that to the forefront of the film and made sure that they nailed that aspect of it. There are some classics on this list as well, so let's not get tied up in those two. Moneyball as well. Moneyball, probably up there with Warrior in terms of my favourite sports-related film of all time. I think analytics and that type of stuff is sort of my jam. I like that type of stuff. So when I watched this film for the first time, and the human story that was there behind Brad Pitt's character, I mean, this had a great cast. It had a phenomenal cast. And they had a lot of ex-baseball players in the film. And I'm not someone who's ever loved baseball, but this film alone made me like baseball more just from this aspect of it. So I would suggest anyone to watch those three films 100%. Doesn't matter what type of films you like, what type of films you don't like, those three are bangers, and I think they will change your view of cinema in some way, because all three of them had that aspect for me. Eddie the Eagle. We get into the comedy side, the heartwarming side, the true story side. If you don't know about the story about Eddie the Eagle, I'm not going to spoil it for you, even though it's decades old at this point. But Jackman and Taron Egerton really do smash this film. I think that it is funny, it's light, there are serious moments, but I think at the end of the day, it shows you what can be done if you commit yourself and you never give up, right? Never give up on a good thing. Never give up on that. Fighting with My Family really come up my list. This isn't in any particular order. Those first three were, but after that, it's not in any particular order. Fighting with My Family. Wrestling film. I was really big into wrestling maybe 5-6 years ago, but regardless, I watched this film with people who'd never really watched wrestling that much at all. And they acknowledged how good this film was. Surprising, I didn't expect it to be that great, but the story was there. And I think that's the most crucial thing with all these films en masse. Not overall, but en masse. There is something that is just inherently human about all of these things. And I think it takes you to a different place understanding-wise, and it takes you to a different place just accepting the story. For some reason, for me it does that. Maybe it's when I used to play sports as a kid and throughout high school or secondary school, it just does something different for me. So Fighting with My Family, wrestling film, very, very good. Then there's Shaolin Soccer, a comedy, one which I got suggested for years, and then about 2.5 years ago I watched it and was like, I get it. It's not for everyone, I'll be fair. It's definitely not for everyone. But for me, it's Chinese cinema, guys. Chinese cinema. But I think it does have an inherent lightness to it, and some of the action is very, very interesting. Everest next, which is about climbing Mount Everest. Now, I've watched this film probably 3 or 4 times. Only came out like 3 or 4 years ago, so I have rewatched this one quite a lot relative to how long it's been out. And it's just super emotional. It gets you. It gets you when people like are trying to achieve what they want to achieve, and sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. And I think that it just hits home in that specific way. Jake Gyllenhaal, Josh Brolin, has a really, really good cast, big cast, and they all put in really good performances overall. So that one up there. I, Tonya, I don't really need to say much about that. You know the story. Margot Robbie smashes it. Very, very heavy film. Then there is Rocky. Well, we'll say Rocky and Creed here. All those films, iconic, cinema-changing, game-changing, and thankfully, films that are recognized as classics and all-time greats. So, if you haven't seen Rocky yet, what are you actually doing, lads? Go and do some watching of boxing films. Very, very good. Goal. If you don't know, football film from back in the day, I remember watching that one. We had it on DVD and we didn't have that many DVDs. So like that one would constantly get put in and I would watch it constantly. So Goal is a good one. It's not the best film ever, but it has story points that are hard hitting and it really makes you look at your own life a little bit. Considering where the characters in that film do come from. Concussion, Will Smith. This is a classic as well, got a lot of positive buzz long time ago, so I'd say you haven't seen Concussion, lads, and this is the thing for all the films on here, you should probably watch it. The Wrestler, Mickey Rourke, smashes it in that, you should watch it. Space Jam, comedy, like I said, there's a lot of diversity and variety in this, and Space Jam is an outright banger in terms of comedy. Brian Banks, I watched this one recently. I'm not a tearjerker. I don't cry when it comes to films, I'll put it like that. This one almost got me. It almost got me. The main actor's performance was really, really something. I think some of the side actors and actresses were a bit naff, but the main guy really, really put in a performance that was just, it attacked you. It attacked you mentally and physically watching the things he had to go through. And his story is definitely something incredible and showing you can fight and jump back from anything. It just might take longer than you want. It might take more time than you anticipated, but you can do it. It's just difficult. Seabiscuit. Yeah. Well, you don't need me to tell you about that one. Go watch it. Hardball. I watched that one last night. Keanu Reeves. Wasn't expecting much, honestly. I was like, meh, I'll just put this on because it was a sports film after I'd clocked this. And I watched it, and Maybe I'm just a sucker for sports films. I don't know, but it got me. It took me away. It took me on a journey. And, oh, man, it's just... I think some people would say the film, like, maybe took certain aspects from certain parts of America and maybe over-dramatized them in some ways. That's something I read a little bit online about the film. I think it was actually moving, even though, you know, it's Keanu Reeves. It did really take you away. I think the child actors were pretty good as well, which does help. But yeah. Yes, a film which I wasn't expecting to like, and it took me away on a journey. So that's what film does, doesn't it? Field of Dreams. Only watched this one last week as well. Definitely a unique film. Not for everyone. It's like a bag of ants, you know? It's like, not for everyone. Not everyone's going to like this film. But for me, it did something for me. And it made me think about certain aspects of my own life. And when to do things and when not to do things. And when you need to do things. And I think I said a lot of things there. The point is, I think the drive and determination that these films, through a thin connection, which is sports. Like, it's not like these films are similar in every single way. There's just a through line here of sports. And I think that being the center point of these films grounds them even more. And it makes them more tangible and real. Even though it is sort of... Well, Field of Dreams is a bit of a fantasy-esque film. This was actually supposed to be a pretty short video, and it's turned into just me rambling on. So I don't know how I'm going to cut this, where I'm going to cut, but this has been extortionately long so far. Then we have Rush and Senna, both Formula One related films. Big fan of Formula One, have been for about 10 years now. It's just so technologically advanced, and seeing where it came from and the origins of it, it just makes me love and appreciate where we are now. Looking back on this, and I remember when I first watched these films, going back and understanding and learning about Formula One history. It's the same thing that happened when I started watching wrestling in like 2011. It was the same thing where I actually went back and learned about wrestling history all throughout the decades. And it was the same thing and the same situation with Formula One, where I went back and watched some of the greatest races of all time. And I spent the time and effort to learn about, you know, the engine systems and the cars and all this stuff, which nowadays is the way racing works. And it was just incredible to see, like, the formation and the origins of that. And that's what these films sort of do. They show you how racing was and now how racing is in the way we see Formula One, with the great racers we have today, like bloody Lewis Hamilton, or, in my opinion, one of the underrated racers of the last 10 years, Jenson Button. Even though he won a world championship and all, I think he could have done a lot more in the sport in terms of winning, and his name would have been up there with the greats, because his racing skill, I think, was second to none. Rush and Senna, very good films. I would suggest they're high on my list. Longest Yard. That's an old one, not the Adam Sandler Longest Yard, not that one. Just get that out of your head, not that one. There's an original one, it's different. Watch it, you'll understand why you need to watch it. White Men Can't Jump, a classic. Again, a comedy, basketball-related one. I remember me back in my b-ball days. That was a classic with Busted On. White Men Can't Jump, Asian Men Can't Jump, but I played ball. It was like, I played ball still, point guard, you know, occasionally. When main point guard was out, I was the guy. Dodgeball, again. Man, that takes me back. Dodgeball 2004-05, that took me back to primary school time, that one. When I probably shouldn't have been watching it. Dodgeball's like a 15, I think we were like 9 or 10. Just casually ripping into the cinema and being like, yeah, so let's watch this one, boys. It's such a ludicrous film. Ben Stiller is insane in it. And definitely lines and quotes just come straight to your head with it. So Dodgeball up there. Ruddy. Now, I watched this one over quarantine. Again, sports films, they just make it so real, man. They make it so real. And Ruddy and something like Friday Night Lights, I just feel weak. I feel weak when watching them because I'm fully invested in it. And, yeah. Man, Ruddy, Friday Night Lights. Get them on. Get them done. There are 40 films here. Each of them 2 hours long, I'd say. So that means you have about 80 hours. No, wrong. Yes, right. 80 hours of film here to watch. So spread that out over like a month. You watch one a day, you'll get through all of these in like a month, basically. Bend It Like Beckham, British classic. Beckham, obviously. David, hello. Future, definitely future knight of the United Kingdom. Nice knowing you, Dave. I remember that greased skull. I remember. Incredible. Phenomenal. Stunning. The Karate Kid. Yep, absolute classic. How could we not include that? Daniel-san. Oh, shit. I shouldn't have done that. I'll be done. I'll be done. I'll be attacked. Karate Kid. You know the drill. You've probably all seen it. Just laying it out. The $1 Million Baby. Again. Damn. This one was so visceral. Especially one point. I'm not going to spoil it. But there's an injury at one point from someone in the film. Stuff happens. It's gnarly. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. But it takes you by the balls and just rips them out because you feel so low. Like, you know what I mean? That was a terrible explanation, but like that's how I felt after watching one scene in that film, which was just a bit too much. Ali, Will Smith, classic. I'm not sure if he got nominated for an Oscar for that one. Probably should have got nominated for an Oscar if he didn't. Not sure. Great film. Foxcatcher, again. Steve Carell, Channing Tatum. Incredible performances, transformative performances in my view for the actors they are today. So yeah, definitely give that one a watch. Wrestling-based film, but not pro wrestling like WWE, like state wrestling, that type of much more gritty and real than WWE. The Blind Side, Sandra Bullock. I never remember watching this film. Maybe I watched it when I was a kid, but it never really did anything for me. And then I watched it during quarantine, and it just, like, I did a review of it on the channel. It just blew me away. Like, I was absolutely invested. I was there. I felt it, and maybe I do it to myself. Maybe I want to feel that, you know? Maybe I'm just a bit mucked up. Maybe that's how it is. That's why I keep on watching these types of films. But The Blind Side definitely up there. Draft Day. Kevin Costner, I think, was in that one. Very, very good. People, I don't think have watched it. I like it a lot. I think the performance is great. I think there's a lot of background NFL stuff going on in the film, and I think it's stuff I wasn't aware of before, and you learn a lot by watching it. I think that's a great way to learn, is to actually just watch, and I think watching films is a great way of understanding things and finding out about things that you'd never known about before. Then there's 42. Not one of my favourite films ever. I think that the actual film is good. I just don't think Chadwick Boseman is that good in the film. He's not likable as Jackie Robinson. Like, I wanted him to be super likable, and he just wasn't. He was so combative and confrontational that I never got to like the character. I liked the film, but I didn't like the character. So, still a good film, still a good movie, good message, but, you know, they can't all be bangers. They can't all be bangers. They can be good, but they can't all be bangers. Jerry Maguire, you know, that classic Tom Cruise. I'm just thinking about the money, baby. It's all about the money. Yeah, so if you haven't watched it, Jerry Maguire, classic Tom Cruise, back in the day where he was doing like comedies and good stuff. She's the Man and 17 Again. Romantic comedies, I guess, in ways, but still, they're on the list for a reason. You sometimes need a bit of a pickup. You got Dangal, which is an Indian film. It's a wrestling film as well. You can see I like my wrestling, I guess. Cool Runnings as well, obviously. A lot of you have probably seen that. Lagan, which is a cricketing film from India, if you don't know. One of the better Indian pieces of cinema I've ever seen. Ip Man, IP Man, Ip Man. Man, this one, the first one, really, really good. Second one, okay. Third one, okay. Haven't seen the fourth one. But Ip Man #1, man, the story is just gnarly. No, absolutely insane. So I won't spoil anything like that. 127 hours, definitely a special one. One I've watched multiple times, and I do actually at this point think, yeah, I've got some type of problem. Why would you rewatch that film? I don't know. Enter the Dragon and Kickboxer, the end of the list at least. Again, fighting related films. They just do it. Bruce Lee, Kickboxer had, my mind's going blank, can't remember. So yeah, Bruce Lee is Bruce Lee. What more do you want me to say? So that's just a list of some of the films that I have enjoyed over my lifetime. Probably about a quarter of them I've watched over this quarantine for the first time, and probably half of them I've rewatched over this whole Rona time. So I'd suggest, you know, most people, if you like sports films, if you like that genre, even though I think it transcends that. It's just life in general. These types of films just do it for me, and I think they'll do it for you. Anyway, guys, If you did enjoy this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel down there. If you didn't, then Rocky himself will come after you. Do you see that gun? It's sort of weak right now, but he'll come after you. You don't want that. You really don't, so just subscribe anyway to avoid that. I've been NarendraTheComic. You've been great. I'll see you next time. That's tomorrow. If you don't know, make a video every single day. Been doing it for over 2 years now. We ain't stopping till we get to 10,000 subscribers. Yes, I know. We're halfway there. No, we're not. I'm lying. Subscribe. It would be great. See you tomorrow, because I'll be back again with some more quality shitty content, because I'm hashtag never not here. Just the jibe. Just the vibe. Just how we do it. See you tomorrow. I'll be here again. See you tomorrow. Skadoosh.